Back in the day, and we're talking in the 1980s into the early 90s, the Edmonton Oilers were a Stanley Cup contender pretty much from the 82 season onward because of Gretzky, Coffey, Messier, Curry, Fuhrer, Moog. And to see the modern era of the Edmonton Oilers, what a fan base last night for Game 6, watching the Oilers, might say Connor McDavid's Oilers win 2-1 against Dallas to win the series in 6 games. The fans were tremendous last night. Kind of harkened back to the Montreal Canadiens fans in Game 5 in 93 cheering on the Habs. And of course, a chant which will be going across Canada throughout this week, "We want the cup," before the series starts in the weekend. Now, this is a follow-up of sorts to a very successful podcast I did in the last 48 hours, chastising CBC for showing a reality show and an award show nobody wanted to watch in place of Game 5 and 6 of the Oilers Stars series, one of the best playoff series, Western Conference series in recent memory. So what does this mean for the NHL? Well, of course, it's the second time in the last 4 seasons that a Canadian team has made it to the final. The Miracle Habs of 2021 had no right to be in the Stanley Cup final, but because of some hot goaltending by Carey Price and the team effort by the squad, you won a lot of games in overtime. And of course, the big disastrous series that Toronto had, leading Montreal 3-1 in the first round, where Montreal won 2 games in overtime and 2 games to Toronto to take the series. Now, the last time that Edmonton was in the Stanley Cup final was 2006, and that was a great run for the Oilers. They came within an inch, literally, of winning the cup. Now, of course, the Oilers will have to take on a team that I think is kind of a combination of the old Islanders and the old Montreal Canadiens of the 80s. They got defense and they got offense, of course, as the Florida Panthers. Kachuk is a leader of the pack, as we say. But that 2-1 win by Edmonton at home on May 2nd will probably go down as a series one, but one of the most prettiest goals in NHL playoff history. Connor McDavid, I think, is one of the greatest stick handlers of all time. And when he took the puck in the star zone and dipsy-doodled, that's an old Danny Gallivan term, towards the Stars' goal, the only person who could stop him was himself. There must have been 47 different moves, and they led 2-0 after the first period. Now, they're a money team. Their power play was working. The Stars, now, up until that late goal in the third period, were outscored, I think it was 10-1, since leading 2-0 after the first period in Game 5. So, did the Stars choke? No. Did Edmonton outlast Dallas? Yes. Edmonton is a team based on multiple lines. They have offense up front, but they have enough defensive players. And that good luck charm, who he freaked out in Chicago early this year, Corey Perry, it's kind of ironic when Perry re-entered the lineup, I don't think Edmonton lost a game. So as it stands right now, Florida, Edmonton, everybody's saying, Jeffrey, you've been a sports editor for 41 years. Who are you picking in the final? Well, my heart says we need a Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup because that may convince Gary Bettman to fuck right off. But the Panthers, they're scary. This is a team, the last 2 seasons, back-to-back Stanley Cup finals. I'm not saying it's a dynasty, but it could be their time, just like Vegas, after getting their first Stanley Cup final last year. My cousin William Corey's team eventually won the cup. And don't forget, Vegas in 2021 could have easily went to the final, but it was Montreal's year. And Montreal winning in overtime in Game 6, it could have easily gone back to Vegas for Game 7, and it could have been a whole different ballgame. So, yes, CBC will be showing the games. I think there will be on numerous ABC affiliates. If you're on the Bell Dish, it will be on the Boston channel and the Seattle channels. If you don't want a Canadian announcer announcing your games, all the power to you. So I think what's this is going to happen. I think Edmonton, if they're going to take it, they have to win in 6. They don't have home ice advantage, and I think Florida is going to basically feast on them that first game. Because how it works, ladies and gentlemen, usually after a rough series, it's the visiting team or Game 1 has the hardest part with it. Now, the biggest assets to Edmonton is their goaltender, and of course, McDavid and Draisaitl. I think Connor McDavid with 30 points. And there are some people I had to ban from my channel, calling McDavid weak and a choker and all that. My God, what the fuck are you talking about? Connor McDavid has been taking more hits and whacks in the playoffs, and the referees are not calling it. And McDavid is not a whiner. This is not like a Wayne Gretzky. You can't touch him. So I think what they're going to have to the Panthers, because they got some rough players, they got to protect McDavid more. Could mean dropping the gloves. Maybe convince Corey Perry to give him the last of you check to drop his gloves. Unless maybe the dust would get to his opponent's eyes, because he's not as old as me, but he seems to be certain nights. So the key to any Stanley Cup final is winning the second game and the fourth game. Usually the teams that win the second and fourth game will dominate the series. The only recent series I saw with Game 4 winner didn't win the Cup was Montreal. So Game 2 is key in Game 4. Because if Edmonton needs to win in 6, they have to win at least one in Florida to come home to try to wrap it up either in 5 or 6. They need to score more goals too as well. 2 goals is not going to do it against Florida. It did against Dallas because you only had 1 or 2 players scoring. So if you're new to watching the NHL Stanley Cup Finals, there's nothing like it. Nothing really compares, because baseball, nobody says, I want to kiss whatever trophy. I forget what it's called, Ford Frick Trophy or whatever it is. Nobody wants to say, I want to kiss the cup. I've kissed the cup twice, and let me tell you something. I've kissed some beautiful women in my life, and they are nothing compared to kissing the cup. You kiss that cup, it's warm, and you can feel the energy, emotion of all the people that carried it or fought for it. Every Canadian wants to see a hometown hero, or even a European or American hometown hero, kiss the Stanley Cup, because it means that much. It's the most revered trophy in sports. It will never be matched. And even with the Prince of Wales Trophy and Clarence Campbell Trophy, which neither team touched, how it works in the NHL, ladies and gentlemen, you get a trophy for not winning the Stanley Cup. You get a trophy for making the final, which is pretty good. But I want to see Connor McDavid kiss the cup, and maybe him and Gretzky in the dressing room and saying, this is officially passing of the torch. Because Gretzky, again, he's come back as an announcer. He was involved with the Arizona debacle, that John Chaika bullshit that followed after. Boys are going to run that to death, the John Chaika bullshit. Just because you covered him in junior A, Jeffrey, that means you're an expert? I said, no, but it's fucked up. He should be still working at Burger King. At Burger King, not owning any, but that's another story altogether. But ladies and gentlemen, what an exciting series it will be. The only way it could have been better if the Montreal Canadiens made the playoffs, bet Toronto and played the Oilers, and no way Montreal would have bet the Oilers in any shape or form. Even Toronto, even with Austin Matthews. It's Edmonton's year to get to the final. But like I said, to get over that hump of Dallas, they've always had trouble with Minnesota or the Dallas franchise through the years. Boys, that was a rough series. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to do something the rest of the week, replay the highlights from Sportsnet, because you show it in 30. That was like one of the best series I've ever seen. Old time hockey, say like Paul Newman. So, ladies and gentlemen, have a good day. Thank you for supporting this channel. It's not too often we get nearly 4,000 hits on one podcast in 24 hours. Especially when my goal this weekend is do my June series on Hag horror movies. I didn't expect 4,000. So whoever shared it allowed me to get that 4,000. The check's in the mail. And Rick from Sweden is going to be listening to this. Rick can tell you, don't forget the European influence. And he always likes to say this. When Kent Nielsen came in 87, that really helped the Oilers win the Cup. So the non-Canadian players will be a big part of the Oilers run. Non-Canadian players have always been big in Oilers history. Tikkanen and Siltanen, everything's in. Everybody was in, as we say. I'm so happy, and my cousin Darren, my cousin was just like my brother Darren Doucette. Darren, this is for you. I always thought you'd get back. I didn't think it'd be taking 18 years. By the way, the follow-up podcast of this will be talking about the 2006 Edmonton run, and also the 2021 Montreal run, which will give you Edmonton fans an example of what it's going to take to get there. Montreal didn't play its game against Tampa Bay in the final. Edmonton must play its game, and we'll talk about strategies. By the way, I hope you take it the right way. The two head coaches there for Florida, Maurice got the advantage over that Edmonton coach. Knobloch's. I thought he was a friggin' New York Yankee cousin. I don't find him a good coach. But, it is what it is. Thanks for listening, and don't forget, as we say in Northern New Brunswick, and Howie the Geeker said, keep your stick in the ice. Have a good one. Bye.